folks, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. It's 80 degrees outside today. Wow, it's hot. It's March the 2nd, time to get going with spring, but I want to show you what's going on in the garden as we take out our fall stuff and get rid of it. I want to show you some results from the garden, and I want to show you some ways we're looking forward to spring. Update on the single seed challenge and how my seedlings are doing. So let's go take a look. Can you get in there and get it without knocking stuff over? You can move things around. Yeah, there it is. That's the single seed challenge plant. That's my thumbnail. This plant has been growing under lights. You can see it is kind of leggy, but that's okay. It's nice and sturdy. It's got a real thick stem. It's about I don't know, 6 millimeters down at the bottom, and yeah, it's nice and strong. The leaf structure is pretty good. This variety and some of these leaves, the underside is purple like that. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I like this plant. So we're gonna leave this outside under the cloth over there, and the reason why is it's going to be cloudy. Actually, I'm surprised we're getting any sun today. But it's going to be cloudy for the next couple of days, and on Wednesday we're supposed to have thunderstorms, and I don't want all my little plants over there to get beat down by the water. So that shade cloth, or that cloth over there, lets about 90% of the light through, but it also helps diffuse the heavy rain. The rain will get through, they'll get watered, they'll get irrigated, but they're not going to get beat down. At least that's my hope. Samuel's going to be caring for my plants for me. While I'm gone, I'll be out of town, but my family will be here taking care of these, so if there's any problems out here, things get turned over by the wind or whatever, they can fix that. But yeah, this is a nice plant. I hope your single seed challenge, if you've started already, is going as well as mine. I know some of you guys have said that you had to start over because your seed didn't come up, or it's still too cold where you live to sprout seeds. So yeah, what a fun thing, huh? Single seed challenge. Let me show you my other plants. So under my cover here, I'm keeping all my little plants. You can see some of them are very, very small. This is a dwarf, so it's going to be smaller, but that's a small plant. That needs protection from rain. What do you think? Will this work?
Maybe.
So these tomatoes didn't do so well for me under my lights, and I think that's because I overwatered. And some of them are recovering quite nicely, though. You can see they've lost some leaves, some of them have, but they're greening up and looking good. Some of them didn't recover, though, very well. Like this little guy, that plant might make it, but for the most part, its first set of leaves shriveled and dropped off, and it's trying to put on some more leaves. I'll leave it, but I don't think it's going to go so well. So to make it up, I started some new plants, and especially some of the varieties that didn't do well, I started new ones. So I've got a whole lot of little seedlings down here. I started some tomatillos. I've got some squash down here. Squash doesn't really like to be, it's difficult. Squash doesn't like its roots to be disturbed too much, so starting squash inside is not something I usually like to do. I like to just start the seed in the ground. And that's probably what I'll end up doing, but you know, hey, when seed fever strikes, you gotta plant something, right? So these seeds will be in here, all my peppers over there, and some of my nasturtiums, and some of the micro dwarfs that I've already potted up. These will live under this cover for the next week as they harden off. They've been hardening off for a couple of days. They'd probably be fine if I just left them out. That's why I'm pretty confident leaving them in here will be fine. This is Brandywine, Sudeth's strain. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've got 3 different strains of Brandywine this year. And this is supposed to be one of the better tomatoes, so you know, I like to grow some good tomatoes. But all these varieties in here, I'll have only, I intend to have about 25 tomato plants, maybe 30, spread throughout my garden, some in containers, some in the ground. And I've got more little plants here than that, so I'll be sharing some of these, but I'll take the healthiest ones and I'll plant those. And yeah, that's the benefit of growing a lot of seeds. So you can see that in this tray, these plants here, this variety, Wood's Famous Brimmer is what it's called, doing really poorly. and they're doing poorly because they were overwatered. That's what I believe, and I think that they'll recover. At least one or two of these plants will, and I really would like to have one of these. So we'll see if these can recover. But right next to them is Barry's crazy cherry. And this is supposed to be one of those plants that goes out of its mind crazy tall and grows and puts on tons and tons of fruit. You can see that it also suffered from being overwatered early on, down when it was small and under the lights, but it's put on a lot of real healthy growth since I've been more mindful of the watering situation. So these guys just are having a harder time recovering, but I think they will. We'll see. Yeah, pygmy micros. I'm going to do some micro pygmies and micro dwarfs. These plants will only get about this tall, and they'll grow in a gallon container, but they'll put on a lot of good sized fruit. And yeah, I'm real interested to see how these do. Today is March the 2nd, and you can see that my garden is looking real shaggy and done. You can see those gigantic turnips down there. I've let these go to seed. They've bolted, and that's good. If I can spare this spot for a couple of weeks now, I'm gonna hopefully I'll be able to get some seed heads off of those plants and save that seed. I really like that turnip. These Crosby's Egyptian beets, they've been bulbing up. I need to harvest them. I've been harvesting my cabbage. Those are my last two heading cabbages, and I'll pull those out very soon. I see a friendly wasp down there is busy hunting, and he's probably hunting caterpillars, and that's good. Now that it's warmed up, my pest problems have increased. And these two remaining Chinese heading cabbages, this is a Hilton cabbage. You really got to peel off a lot of leaves because the pests are finding them now. And I harvested two this morning, took them over to a friend's house, and yeah, I had to peel them down to be pretty small. Over here I've got the pak choi still doing well. The romaine lettuce, I lost 4 out of 6. Don't know why, I think it was bugs. But yeah, all of this bed has been harvested except for these 4 plants right here, and they'll come out pretty quickly. And actually I can interplant right here while those plants mature. My other plants in my spring plan can grow up around them. But yeah, man, spring is here, and I should be planting these in the next week or two. All this stuff will go in. I've got to clear out these beds over here. I've been harvesting carrots. There's a lot of bare spots in the carrot patch. You can see I harvested a lot here, a lot there. I took some of these over to my friend's house today. I'm going to harvest all these beets. They are bulbing up nicely. I'm going to leave the onions until they mature, and I'll be taking out this lettuce pretty quickly. It needs to be harvested, and I need to eat more of it. I pulled up a kale plant. There was one like this right there. That went to my friend's house as well. They're going to enjoy that in soup, and this one will come up pretty quick too. All this is going to be planted in the next couple of weeks with my spring garden. These guys right here served pretty well as a trap crop. I let the insects find these and enjoy them. I didn't spray or cover or treat. Yeah, growing cabbage, heading cabbages like this in a pot, not really recommended. You can see they don't head up very well, and they're just little tiny heads, and they can hardly be called heads at all. But these should be by now mature. These you could eat, the leafy greens. These are those Chinese cabbages, but you can see in the pots they stay really small. But that's okay. And I harvested these 2 kales as well this morning, and those went to my friend's house. But yeah, these are going to be pulled out as well. I need that soil to be refreshed, replenished, and I need to put tomatoes and things in these containers. The backups, bee stringers here of my onions, I'll take a few of those and fill in my blank spots right there. I'll eat the rest of them. They're coming out. I've got to put peppers and pollinator attracting flowering plants in here. Over here, my dog has been walking on my fig cuttings, and she pulled that up, and I did notice it's rooting, so that's good. Got some more fig cuttings there. This guy came out too early. He got scalded. Those tender leaves were too tender, but it'll keep growing. These radishes are actually kind of slow. I expected them to be done by now, but they're just now putting on good sets of leaves. Wonder if that has something to do with the soil condition. Somebody had asked me how the carrots in the containers did and were they really growing, was it worth it? I've already showed you in previous videos how container plants usually grow at a slower pace and smaller size than plants put directly in the ground. And that's because these kinds of plants, they need room to spread out all their roots. You see on a carrot, it has all these microfiber roots, but that's just the ones we see. Coming off from here for inches and inches, and sometimes a root network can be larger than the plant above ground that you see. Sometimes these carrots send out microscopic root fibers to forage for food over a very long distance. And so in the ground they can do that. They can go deep, they can go far, but in a pot they have trouble doing that. And so consequently they stay small. And so out of these pots I had some Danvers half-longs. I got 2 carrots, and that's because the ones that I've been pulling out of here along the way, they were about this size. I was eating them, and so overall I got maybe about a dozen edible sized carrots in here and a whole lot of thinnings. This is the one that I just broadcast the seed in. I didn't plant it, planning for. I didn't plant it carefully. If I planted it carefully and spaced them properly, we would have got more carrots. I did plant my Parisian carrots carefully, and I have been eating nice Parisian carrots, and there's the last of them. These are little ball carrots. They're about the size of a marble, and the bigger ones can get much larger than that. But in a pot, these are going to remain kind of small. So yeah, that's it. My Parisians, the end of them for the year. And I've got here another bucket full of carrots. These are also Danvers half-longs, and I don't know what's in here. I haven't really thinned much, but Danvers has done well for me in the ground this year. I'm going to see what's in this container. Let's just kind of loosen the soil a bit. Not bad if you're into baby carrots. Now, when you pull a carrot out of the ground, usually the soil is much more dense than this potting soil. And so when you pull it out of the ground, you're pulling off all these hairs and micro roots. But when you pull it out of a very loose potting mix like this, you're going to pull up all that soil. But you see what we get. We get a bunch of finger-sized baby carrots. And that's good. I can eat that. In fact, these baby carrots, you eat them skin and all and get all the nutrition. And that's not bad for the first half of a 5-gallon bucket. Let's get the rest. In a 5-gallon bucket, I should have grown a longer variety, but these half-longs, that's about as long as they get in relation to their size, their thickness. So yeah. Oh well. Live and learn, huh? Grow longer carrots in your 5-gallon buckets. So there we go. That's what we got out of there. That's the 5-gallon bucket harvest. Not much. Is it worth growing carrots in a container? I don't really think so. I just wanted to do this experiment and see how they compared to the garden. Let's go look at the garden carrots and I'll show you how that compares. All right, here's my in-ground carrots, and you can see just by the size of the plant up here, they're much larger. In fact, there's a Danvers half-long. Not bad. We can do better. Yeah, not bad. Lots of little ones that didn't get thinned, but you can see they're substantially larger. These are supposed to be a half-size carrot, but I mean that's almost right there. Just 4 carrots is about half of what we got out of the 5-gallon drum. These are Kyoto Red. These are the ones that were too close together and were kind of toward the middle where it was hard to reach, so I didn't bother thinning them. But I have pulled out some enormous carrots out of this bed, and yeah, we're gonna take all these carrots in and wash them up now. Whew, there we have it. A nice day. My friends have some nice food from my garden. I've got some nice food from my garden. Things are starting to wind down from spring. I'm going to get out there and cut the grass and clean up all the mess in the gardens and get the beds prepared for all these seedlings I've got going. I got to get them in the ground next week. I'm going to give them this week to be outdoors and get used to being outdoors, the daylight cycle, the day-night cycle, and harden off a bit, and then next week's the week. We're going to plant all these things in the garden. It's going to be a good week. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you want to participate in the single seed challenge, check out that video linked up there. That'll tell you all about it. It's a fun way to really get into your plant and get to know your plants and really watch and tend and shepherd that plant from a seed through its life, through fruiting, all the way to the end. Usually we just plant tons of seeds and we never really single in on any one seed. But this is a way you can really enjoy the life cycle of a plant. It's really actually quite fun. A lot of people doing this, so if you'd like to join us, please do. And use the hashtag Single Seed Challenge 2020 or Single Seed Challenge so we can find each other and look at each other's videos. Like us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. That really encourages us. Happy gardening to you. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.